Blog Talk Radio.
Let it out. Don't hold it in this better route. Darkness looking like bad weather clouds. It can stop me cause I'm heaven bound. I feel better now. On the highway, Lord, I'm heaven bound. You stay with me in whichever route. They can block me but I'm never out. All of me, all for you. With everything you made me right, that's something to die for. On the highway doing heaven bound. On the highway doing heaven bound. The world was calling crazy, but that's just how he made me. Been through all kind of stuff, and been to different places. You get my heart fell low, and all my different from it. This world is trying to tell the truth, it got some problems on it. I just need some time, I just need some time. Help me work my problems out and reach the finish line. The world is trying to tell them I'ma go to hell, it's lies. I was held alive in a jail when the cell inside. Then they saved my life, yeah. Better now. On the highway, Lord, I'm...
Okay, what's up, y'all? Alright, I got you there, Scott. So, got a great show. ASAP Preach is my opening song. That is his song, Heaven Bound. He wrote that song about his mom and his granddad passing away not too far apart from each other. It's a sad song, but it's a great message, man. Trust God. We're going to be heaven bound if you trust God and you believe Jesus is your Lord and Savior with all your heart. Accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and then we're going to be heaven bound. And what a great song, man. Speaking of ASAP Preach, I met him a few weeks ago at the Outreach Beach event. Awesome Christian rapper. And he just released his new documentary. So if you go to his YouTube, look up ASAP Preach. You can look up his documentary. But ASAP Preach stands for Always Say a Prayer. So great. And got an awesome show for you. We got 3 guests tonight. We did just have 2, but now we got Kyle Jinks from Front Wheel Drive Friday is going to call in. And as always, the show is presented by the Race Safer Fuel Arrestor, the #1 fuel safety device in racing, in my opinion. Check us out. RaceSaferFuelArrestorLLC.com is the website I built. You can check us out on Facebook at Race Safer Fuel Arrestor. Got to give a shout out to my awesome friend Robbie Johns. He's the one that invented the fuel arrestor. Be sure and go check us out on TikTok. You can look up Jared Hudson on TikTok. It'll be Race Safer Fuel Arrestor or Jared Hudson. I think both of them. You better find both of us on TikTok. Typing it both ways. So that is our Race Safer Fuel Arrestor TikTok. We got a Facebook and, of course, a website I built. And we'd love to sell you a fuel arrestor for your car to keep you safe in the event of a fuel fire. If you scroll down on our Facebook, you will see dozens and dozens and dozens of stories that me and Robbie have shared to our Facebook of cars catching fire because of a fuel fire. Don't be one of these people that jokes about fuel safety. Don't be dumb, man. Don't joke about safety. If your fuel cell gets ruptured or damaged in any way with the fuel arrestor on there, it will soak up a good bit of your race fuel. Now, it won't soak up all of it, granted, but it'll soak up enough race fuel to give you time to get out of the race car, give you time to get unbuckled, everything. Made in the USA, a NASA-grade material, and it's like anything in racing, it'll still take damage, but we'd love to sell you some fuel safety. Of course, God's first with us, then safety, then racing, in that order, and, of course, on this podcast. So check us out, RaceSaferFuelArrestorLLC.com. I put many, many hours on the website. Let me know what you think. So our first guest here is coming up. We got Scott Kosak. He is the owner of GetInTheStands.com. And then we can have Chase Montgomery calling in, and my buddy Chase Montgomery. And then we have, of course, Kyle Jinks from Front Wheel Drive Friday is going to call in. So I am the announcer at Tri-County Speedway, and I've been following Getting the Stands for a while because my awesome buddy Artie Schick that runs the Southern Dirt Track Report, I film races for the Southern Dirt Track Report as well as promote fuel safety with the fuel arrestor. And so me and Artie a while back, we did a video call with Scott Kosak and some track promoters. There was like 4 or 5 of us in the live. And we did a video call on how to promote tracks and stuff, and it's very interesting. I loved it, thought it was awesome, already enjoyed it, learned a good bit. And so now I'm the racetrack announcer at Tri-County Speedway, and I signed us up for their promotion, their track of the year. And I signed us up, and I tagged everybody because I'm good at social media. So I tagged everybody to come vote. And our fans showed up in droves. I don't know how many voted. I know a good many voted. And we won track of the year for the state of Alabama. So we're going to go ahead and get Mr. Scott on, and he's going to talk about what we won and getthestands.com. So, welcome, Mr. Scott. How you doing?
Jared, thank you for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yes, sir. Good to have you.
All right, great. I'm doing well, thank you very much. And like I said, thank you for having me. And I hope things are going well and safely at Tri-County for you guys so far this year.
We're doing dang near skippy. We've had a really, really good season. Our next race, so we got rained out our last race. It was flooded up there. But next weekend we're racing 2 nights. And let me explain to you what we're going to do. So we got a hot dog eating contest. And so, this is nuts. I'm glad I don't like hot dogs. I'm glad I'm the announcer. But, so what they're doing is a 602 class, and I think it may be all classes. I know the 602 class is one of them, where the top 2 qualifiers for their heats, the top 2 qualifiers for the feature, are going to have a hot dog eating contest, and it's going to be an intermission, and they're going to see who can eat the most hot dogs in 2 minutes. And then they're going to have to go crap like a crippled goose or whatever the case, and then go jump in the race car and ride the rest of the feature with all them. No, I'm not doing it.
Is there a perk to being the winner of the contest? Do they start higher up? Do they get? Is there any kind of does the loser get thrown in the back of the field or?
Okay, so I'm gonna read you this. So let me go to our Facebook at Tri-County Speedway, and I believe Miss Marilyn was the one that posted this. So let me go here. This is hilarious. They got a picture of a race car with a hot dog sticking out of it and a hot dog bun on the race car as a picture. And, yeah, so that's goofy looking. But it says, we're counting down to the real hot dogs racing, hitting the track at the swamp. Some of the best on the edge of your seat racing goes on in the impact zone, photo bombers, pure stocks, iron horse late models, the mods, IMCA rules, and the advanced environmental recycling 602s late models. This Saturday night's payout for first place purses fall on the plates of the feature's 2 pole setters from each class. It will be according to how many hot dogs they can eat at intermission. Each class's 2 pole setters will eat as many hot dogs as they can in 2 minutes. The total between the 2 racers representing their class will be added up as one total count.
My goodness! I wish I was down in Alabama sometime this weekend. I'd almost want to see that. Oh man! I wonder if Miss Maryland's going to pay the cleaning bill on their fire suit if the hot dogs come back up.
Look, so they asked Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm a big NASCAR fan, and I've been watching NASCAR since Moby Dick was a sardine. And so Dale Jr. talked about, this is before he retired, they asked him on NASCAR on Fox one day before the race or whatever, they asked him and said, well, what's it like if you got to go to the bathroom? And he was straight up with them. He said, well, you're going such high G-forces that you don't have to go to the bathroom because it makes it to where you don't have to go. But then he said, if you go, you just either pee on yourself or you just crap all over yourself. And I'm like, wow, geez. So thinking back to that and then having this happen, I guarantee you there's going to be some people crying in them race cars.
Oh, it should be a good show. That's a great. I love it when tracks come up with, new ideas to just add a little spice to the show and give people something more to talk about.
Yeah, and then the cool thing that they win. So it says payout in the hot dog eating contest for the features is as follows. first place class $1,000 to win feature, and the 2 pole sitters will also get a championship ring. And the second place class gets $800 to win feature. Third place, $600. Fourth, $500. Fifth place, $400. Second place on back in each class will be regular payout. Which class do you think will be the winner? That's funny. Of the 1,000 to win, and then of course the next post is what the championship rings look like, and it's 2 little bitty trophies, and then they got this like championship ring that looks like a Balfour High School class ring. Wow, that's hilarious, and I'm gonna have
great.
every bit of fun announcing it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come up with some snappy one-liners for your script for that one.
It's like, oh, I can hear him rumbling right now. He's finna crash during the race. And it's like you can't. And it's like Dale Earnhardt Jr. said. He's like, well, you can't just make a pit stop and go to the bathroom. You know, you just got to go.
No, you're absolutely right. When you got to go, you got to go. I think I read an expansion on that story that he said no more white fire suits after that. When they were and that's why they gave him the bottle of green Gatorade so that he could pour it on himself in the car at the end of the race. So anyway, even though that's funny, that makes a good valid point right there, because I wouldn't want a white race suit either, because then it's like, oh, what's that back here? Oh, that's just mud from the racetrack. Don't you worry about that. That's great to hear, and congratulations to Tri-City for being named the fan favorite track in the state of Alabama. I apologize for the background noise here from my dogs. They think they decided that they want to be a nuisance while I'm on a podcast here, but you know what? So be it. We'll let them bark all night.
Hey, that's cool.
So yeah, you mentioned that contest. You know, we used to do this every year back in the 15, 16, 17 area when we were a different site called RacingIn.com. But you know, the whole idea was to get racetrack fans to stand up and say, "I love my favorite track." So our favorite tracks of 2023 survey was engaged by over 12,000 fans throughout let's say November to January of this past year. For votes to count, people had to have been to the track at least once. And I think just under 500 total tracks were voted for in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, you guys got the most votes of any track in Alabama. So
that is awesome.
You know, congratulations to you guys. And it's nothing about kind of what we do or anything like that. We didn't go out and name tracks. We made the voting available to fans, and like you said, you shared it. And everything like this is sometimes a popularity contest. I get it. It's people are like, oh my God, I can't believe Eldora wasn't the one in Ohio. The tracks that have rabid fans and the tracks who share it and ask their fans to vote, you know what, that pays off. And
exactly.
And because you guys are the favorite track in Alabama, Tri-County benefits from being able to get all your race dates posted on our race dates calendar for the year, which is about a $250 value for the year. And what we do is we just drive race fans in areas where we know there are races. We run ads, and our goal is to help more fans find more racing at more tracks. And that's what it's all about. And I think this year we'll get close to 500,000 people using getinthestands.com to find racetracks across the United States. And
that is awesome.
In the 15 years we've been around, either as RacingIn.com or now as getinthestands.com, over 6 million people have used our directories to find tracks, and that's
wow.
what we do. We help people find racetracks.
Awesome. And you mentioned about the voting. I've seen that comment somebody left about Eldora, and this is what I would say to somebody like that. It's like, well, maybe you should have nominated your track. Maybe you should have nominated Eldora. Maybe you should have voted for him. Maybe you should have got your fan, but no, you didn't do it, so you're not gonna win.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's fair. It's a fair, honest process. It's not rocket science. My 10-year-old nephew could do it. I mean,
It was all good. So congratulations to you guys, and hopefully, I know that what we do helps more grassroots tracks become exposed to more people. And if we can help, 8, 10, 12, 15 more people realize, oh, wait, there's a track in Flomaton, Alabama when I'm passing through on my way to Pensacola that I could stop at. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That looks like fun. And
another thing, too, a lot of people don't, and the sad thing is, I live an hour and 18 minutes on a racetrack, but there's a lot of, you'd be surprised how many people that live in that area, in that 30-mile radius or whatever, that don't even know there's a racetrack there, and that's sad. But where y'all come in, people scroll the internet, whatever, and they see that, or they're looking for a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at there. There's a track in Florida. Oh, I didn't know there was one there. We need to go there.
So I'll give you a little bit of, since you brought up numbers, you're right, within 30 miles. So really what we do, it's all about helping casual motorsports fans who don't know that tracks exist understand what grassroots racing is, right? So you said it yourself, how many people within that 30 miles don't know it's there? I've talked to promoters and trainings, and every single time I ask the question, it's a unanimous decision of, wow, that's happened to me. And the question is, have you ever been within 10 miles of your track, met somebody, they ask you what you do, and you say, I'm a promoter or a marketer at XYZ Speedway, and the person looks at you and goes, what's that? And, they live there. They live within 5 or 10 miles, and they don't know what it is. And they've probably driven by it a whole bunch of times, and it's just it's a matter of helping people who aren't engaged in grassroots racing realize what it is. It's motorsports is more than for this Sunday is a perfect example, right? The entire nation is going to be captivated by Kyle Larson trying to do the double and finish both races, and who knows what he's going to do.
Yes.
Whether it's at Indy or Charlotte or whatever. But that's like the kickoff Memorial Day weekend to so much great grassroots racing around the nation. But the vast majority of those people who are watching either Indy or the Coca-Cola 600 down in Charlotte, or the Coke 600, the new Coke, I don't even know what it's called anymore. Anyway, I think it's the Coca-Cola 600.
Yes, that's correct.
They have no clue that if they went to a grassroots racetrack, and there's 1,300 tracks in our directory, and there's probably 800 oval tracks, whether they be asphalt or dirt. They have no clue that if they go to a track, that they're going to see like 5 different classes of cars racing features and heats, and they're going to see probably 15 different green flag to checker races. It's not just one race, going around and around a couple cautions, and then you're gone like a NASCAR race. It's 15 different races and 100 different cars or 60 different cars or whatever it is. And the best value in entertainment is that most tracks, a family of 4 can go for $100 and get the 2 parents, the 2 kids, and get a couple hot dogs each and a Gatorade and a couple beers or whatever, and it's less than $100 for a family of 4 for 4 hours of entertainment. And that's the part that we try and get across is, hey motorsports fans, there's stuff out there that you don't know about. Let us introduce you to it.
Oh, I lost you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, got you.
Got you. So yeah, we're just trying to help. We're just trying to help more fans find more racing in more places, and to truly understand what grassroots racing is, because grassroots racing, it's a community. It's people who love the sport, who support each other, and racers support each other, and it's a community thing, and we need a lot more community stuff in this world, right? So let's just get more people to grassroots training.
And I tell you what, so I mentioned this to you earlier. So me, how I heard of you was randomly searching on Facebook 3 or 4 years ago, however long it's been, and then Artie, my buddy Artie Schick that runs the Southern Dirt Track Report I work for, we have a huge following. We got over 12,000 fans that follow our Facebook, and we cover grassroots racing all the way from mostly dirt tracks, because we don't have enough team members to do asphalt also, but we mostly do dirt tracks. And we do, like he does Baton Rouge Raceway in Louisiana. He does Hattiesburg Speedway tracks over there, and then I do, sometimes I'll do Why Not, but most of the time I do Tri-County and Deep South Speedway, and then Northwest Florida, which is in Baker, Florida. And so we had that Zoom call with you, and it was like 2 or 3 other people on there, and then we learned a lot about your track, and the Zoom call was about promoting, and that just really stuck with me, and Artie was impressed, I was impressed, and so ever since then I've been following your Facebook, and I love what you're doing. I love the idea. I think it's great, and I'll be at Deep South Speedway this weekend because they're running the Hurricane Area Super Sprints, which is a 360 outlaw sprint car. And so when I go there, I'm going to try to remember Ryan Carpenter is the promoter there, and I'm going to talk with him and mention him about, hey, y'all need to claim your free track promotion at gettingthestands.com because, you know,
Absolutely.
just looking on your website and searching racetracks, there's thousands of racetracks with no listing whatsoever. I'm like, daggum, I wish more tracks knew about this so they could claim their listing like we did, you know. And I'm thankful that I found out about it, you know.
Well, and I think that's important what we do. It's you know, there's thousands of racetracks that are in the directory. So it's not that they're not there. It's just that the tracks have yet to claim it, and which is a 100% free process. So if anybody's listening to this, you know, go to Get in the Stands and share the link with your favorite track, because it is 100% free for a track to claim their listing, which means that they can add their logo, they can add their web links, they can add their social media channels, they can add their phone number, and that's 100% free, because what we want to do is we want to be a bridge. I call it the GITS bridge, Get in the Stands, GITS, the GITS bridge. And if somebody finds a track at getinthestands.com, I don't want to keep them at my site. I want to send them to a track so they can go get in the stands. And it's 100% free for every track to claim their listing. You have to be an employee. You have to be an official representative of the track to do it. And then you get carte blanche to be able to you also get to be able to post news stories about the track. You know, if you put out a press release, you can cut and paste it into our database, and it's all about if a track will take the 5 minutes that it takes to put up their press release on our site, we're going to share it with our 63,000 fans. And you post it, we promote it. That's been the motto all along. And it doesn't cost anybody anything. Now, for tracks who want to post their race dates, yeah, we've got an annual subscription fee of, you can either do $40 a month or $250 a year or whatever. But that's because race dates generate ticket sales, and it's for the cost of 5 pit passes for a year, people tracks can post their race dates, and we'll get them seen by thousands of people who are in the area over the course of the year. But you're right. The number one thing is to have racetracks claim their listing, which is a one-step process. You just find their track, click the claim to add it or click to add info button, and get all their information in there so that the GITS bridge can work for them.
Because tracks that don't use it, in my opinion, they're hurting themselves by not doing it. Because especially if they know about it. If they know about it and not claiming it, then they're hurting themselves. Because that's more advertising, that's more people in the stands, that's more money. I mean, you'd be surprised how much revenue that brings. With Memorial Day weekend, of course, this weekend, you'd be surprised how many people are going out of town, going to the beach or whatever, and they say, you know what? Well, what if I ain't got a Facebook? Or, well, I need to find out where a racetrack is. And then, boom, they happen to find your site. Then they search and well, daggum. And, where's this racetrack at? There's nothing there. But if they claim the listing and get the correct address, everything, and then it helps them. It's great promotion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I don't want to make it sound like if a track hasn't claimed their listing that they're necessarily being hurt by it. That's why we have the listings in there, and there's a Google map for every track, so people can do directions and all that stuff. I think that what we've done at Get in the Stands is we've focused our whole life really on helping race fans get to the site and know where tracks are. So that's what we've done more than anything else. And I think there's a lot of tracks out there who still don't know that we exist.
Yes.
I think track promoters are probably the most overworked, under-resourced, underappreciated people in the world. And I think that the art of track promotion is something that, people have learned from each other over the years. And there's a certain way that people tend to do things that's worked for them. And so I don't want to discount that, but at the same time, I look at it as, I've never been a track promoter, but I've been a digital marketer for 20 years. And that's what I try and bring to the table, is to help racetrack promoters, marketers, just understand how you can use the internet in an effective way. And then we turn around, we do all kinds of stuff on our own. We run ads, pushing people in different areas to different race dates and all that other stuff. And it's all done with social media and geo-targeted advertising and all that, that new age digital marketing stuff that I've been doing for 20 years. And it's what we're just trying to do is help racetracks who are giving their blood, sweat, and tears to this sport to make a track run, and helping them understand and letting us do it for them as well, and saying, hey, look, it's not hard. Just claim your listing and we'll make sure people see it. Because it's a different world, but it's pretty easy to do, and I think it's what we try and do is make it understandable. And I think what you said about being in that training a couple of years ago is, I just try and present it in simple ways, so that tracks realize that it might feel complicated, but there are some simple things that you can do to make a difference with reaching more people.
Yes. And so you was talking about the track promotion, and a lot of people don't know about the track promotion, but like you were saying, that y'all do the year-round, see if you can win track of the year. And, of course, we won it at Tri-County Speedway. We won it for their free promotion for a year. And, like, out of all these racetracks in Alabama, like all of them, dirt tracks, asphalt, drag track, you name it, whatever, we won. So I got to thank everybody that I tagged, that voted, everybody that, if anybody shared it, I don't know if anybody shared it, but it means a lot to me that we won track of the year, because that's a huge. In fact, Miss Marilyn, her husband owns the track, and then her kids, Isaiah and Joshua, they race in the Iron Horse and the 602 class, and then the rest of their family works at the track. So she told me that she was going to get it printed out, where she got the email from y'all that we had won, and she's going to get that printed out and put it in a picture frame and put it at the ticket window. That way when people come up to get tickets, they see we won track of the year from y'all. And I told her now that we got the listing done, that we can get another sheet, post a listing on there, and make sure and advertise Get in the Stands. And I think it's a really, really huge deal, and I encourage everybody to next year when they do it, be sure and sign your track up. And it's a really big deal, because like you said it was like $250 a year or $40 a month. So it's well worth, whatever it is they charge. So if you tracks, I encourage y'all to pay the $250 a year. If you don't win, just pay it, because it's worth it for y'all to advertise and get your track out there.
Well, and I appreciate that, and the biggest thing is just helping tracks understand that we want to be a resource to them more than anything. So whether they pay the fee, get their race dates up or not, or whether they just want to make sure that their listing is claimed, then we also invite everybody to a private digital marketing support group that I've got on Facebook that I share tips every week or so of just things that tracks can do with social media to make a difference. And that's what we're trying to do is help all these tracks, kind of keep up with the Joneses, if you will. There's a few tracks out there that do really awesome stuff. And then there's a lot of tracks out there who work really hard, but we just want to help them figure out how to do it as efficiently as possible, because we know their time and resources are not wide ranging. So if we can help them understand how to do it as efficiently as possible, then that's a big thing.
Because one of the things I see, and I see this a lot, and I'm not going to name no names, but I see racetracks that, and I'm a big social media person like you. I've got like 14, 15 Facebooks that I help run. And one of the biggest things that I see as far as advertising is when a track posts a picture, it's super blurry and super grainy. You can't read it. And it was screenshotted. That drives me nuts to see that. And then, because I'm a photographer too, so I can't stand having a bad picture or a blurry picture. And then, like when they post their flyers, and the flyer is so grainy and blurry you can't read it, I'm like, bro, you need better advertising skills. You need to learn. And a lot of times they just don't know what they're doing. And then, like, tracks that only post once a week on Facebook, like, you're not doing your fans no justice. You got to keep posting. And then another thing is, like, say like you're going to rain out. And another thing is, like, if you're going to rain out and you want to quiet the people that's going to cry and complain, say, oh, it didn't rain up there. Well, one way to stop that, go to the track, take pictures of it raining, and take pictures of how muddy it is, and post it. Then you won't have to worry about that no more. That's just some of the things I see, and I'm sure you see a lot of it too. And y'all join his group, because he can give you a lot of information on, because just simple things, like small things like that, the more you post, the better on social media.
It is, the basics of social media is you want to get more eyes on more content more times, and it's the more that you post stuff that people like, then help Facebook accomplish its goal of making more money, because if you can get more things seen by more people for more times, then they can serve more ads up.
Yes.
And you can help them accomplish their goal by making sure you're posting stuff that's impactful and that's getting engagement. So it's kind of a one hand washes the other thing almost with that, getting your stuff seen.
So do y'all have a YouTube where you do instructional videos on how to do things?
So I do social media tips that I do mostly right now within the promoters group that we have. That's specifically only for promoters and marketers who have activated and claimed their tracks on at Get in the Stands. So
okay.
It's and I think you probably when you claimed it, you probably got an email that had the link in it as well. Take a look through your emails.
I gotta do that.
Or it might have been the Tri-County email. So there's a link in a couple of those to our Facebook group to make sure you join that one and answer the questions. And once you get in there, you'll see there's probably 20 different videos over the last year of little tips here and there that you can use. And I try and do them 2-3 minutes at the longest.
That's great.
But as far as doing YouTube videos and everything else, I mean, there's a lot of value to what I do, and it's not something that I just want to give away to people who might not have invested at least the time, because they don't have to be a paying customer of Getting the Stands. They just have to have claimed their track and shown the initiative to at least claim the track.
That makes sense, because I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do it the other way either, because then it just shows well they didn't really care to claim their link. They didn't really care to do this. So why should they get this? But the ones that actually claimed it and care about it, then they deserve to get that extra, and I agree with that.
Yeah, and they're not, like I said, they don't have to be paying anything. Just by claiming it and making sure their listing is activated and has their web links on it, that qualifies them to be able to be in that digital marketing support group.
Okay, cool. So if you ever get down this way, I'm gonna get with Miss Marilyn, and we're gonna get you a media pass, and you can come hang out with us. And our track is awesome. It's right at 3/8 mile or under 3/8 mile, and so it's in a swamp, so we have to fight off the mosquitoes, but it's worth it because put it this way, these mosquitoes are so big, like they laugh at bug spray, like they laugh at mosquito spray.
Yep.
And so our track, so the Day family that owns it, they run Advanced Environmental Recycling, and they also sponsor the 602 class. And Advanced Environmental Recycling, they have 4 locations. They do all kind of metal recycling, old rusted cars, all kind of stuff. Any kind of recycling needs, they can get you hooked up. And their recycling, their original location is in Flomaton, right down the road, not even a mile or two, if that, from the racetrack. So half the racetrack is super, super nice, and then their other half is rusty. And the reason why they did it rusty, because their recycling business, they wanted it to look like their recycling business. So it's a super nice facility, one of the finest facilities you'll see around. And, one cool thing about our track is, of course, we have an inside concessions where you walk in and get your food and come out. And then on the pit concessions, we call it the Pit Cafe. And if you buy a pit pass, you walk into the pit concessions, and it's air-conditioned, and you can sit down and eat and watch the races through the plexiglass windows.
Wow.
And I've been to a lot of racetracks. Oh, it's a blast, and I've been watching NASCAR since 1990. I'm 38, and then I've been going to dirt track racing since 2015. I've been to Talladega Super Speedway 6 times. I've been to dirt tracks everywhere, and I've never seen a dirt track that had an indoor air conditioning where you can sit down and watch the races. And we do a different food item that most racetracks don't do. We do what we call swamp fries, which is basically a spin on butt fries. And then we do soft serve ice cream. I've never heard of a racetrack to have a soft serve ice cream machine. And then we have so many different other items, and we're actually one of the cheapest racetracks as far as food prices. You can get chicken tenders and fries for $6.
Beautiful. That's the value of grassroots racing, man.
Yes, it is. And if you ever come, I think you'll enjoy it. I'll even give you a tour of the announcing booth and stuff. And I'm going to make sure the next race, I'm going to promote that we won the Get in the Stands contest, and I'm going to promote y'all too. And when you come up, I do it. So what I do a live. So Robbie, that owns the fuel arrestor that I work with, Robbie gave me this idea. So I go live on the Southern Dirt Track Report, and he said, "Hey, why don't you just call it Jared's Tower Talk?" I was like, okay. So nice. I go live for about 30 minutes to an hour on Facebook on Southern Dirt Track Report, and so I get with different drivers, and I have them come up in the stands, and in the tower, and I turn the mic on, and I interview them, and everybody coming into the racetrack gets to hear the interview, plus
That's awesome.
It's live on Facebook, so it's just a 1-2 punch, and I'm glad he suggested that. I'm like, man, that's great. It's been going great so far. I've been getting drivers come in there, and they enjoy it. So
that's awesome. Giving race fans something to listen to during some of the downtimes between heat races and features and all that stuff. That's great content to be able to give to the fans, and it will leave them.
Yes.
Not feeling like there was a gap in what they were there to watch, which was racing. So, good for you, man.
Yes.
Glad it's working out.
Well, thank you. And another thing I've learned to do is, of course, we're starting to get the drivers to write down their sponsor names. That way I can shout out their sponsors. And then another thing Miss Marilyn got me to do, and I love this, is explain what the different flags mean, plus the red light, the green light, and the yellow light, caution light. Not everybody understands what that means. It may be like, most people say, oh, I know what that means. That's simple. But a lot of people don't know this stuff. So I've been explaining that to everybody and explaining what the move over flag is, the red flag means, and all this and that. So that kind of helps them. And then it helps to also if you explain the class and about the rules in the class too.
Absolutely. You know what? I've had this discussion with another the announcer at Granite City Motor Park up in Minnesota. And you know the thing that I try and help announcers like you understand is always assume that there are going to be people in your track who've never been there before and who've never been to a grassroots track. And you can be an educator as much as you can be an announcer, and that will help people want to come back. Yeah,
that's a good point. So where
don't underestimate the ability to. I'm on just outside of Chicago. I'm in northern Illinois.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so you way up yonder.
Yeah, kind of right in the middle of the heart of the Midwest, I guess.
Well, that's cool. So, do you have a lot of tracks that you go to up that way?
You know, we've got within about 30 miles of my house, we've got about 4 tracks. We've got Tri-County Speedway, which is an asphalt oval, obviously. We got Sycamore Speedway, is about 40 minutes from my house. That's 2 dirt ovals. They've got a kind of a 3rd mile and a big half mile altogether.
Ooh.
We've got, Route 66 Raceway down in Joliet, which is, there's an oval there. There's a dirt oval, and then there's a drag strip there as well. But those are the closest to me. You go a little bit further, you get down to, you got Kankakee County Speedway, you got Jacksonville Speedway, a little bit further south, Bloomington, Peoria, down more to central Illinois. But
wow.
Yeah, and then obviously just over the border in Wisconsin, there's a whole bunch of tracks up in Wisconsin as well, and then you get into Minnesota, you're in Wissota territory. So
wow.
Tons of dirt tracks up there as well.
So was it okay? So I'm a huge fan of big tracks. I love big racetracks. There's actually a it's like the racetrack version of Wikipedia. I can't think of the name, but it lists every single track in the country. Now, granted, there's like 50,000 of these tracks listed on there that are closed and shut down, not there anymore. But it still lists a bunch of different tracks. But I love finding tracks that are 1 mile long. I even seen one that was 2 miles. That was a dirt track. But I've seen 1 mile long dirt tracks and several half miles. I would love. What's it like going to a half mile racetrack? I bet it's fast.
It's definitely fast. Sycamore Speedway, they race on the big oval one on Saturdays, and they race on the small oval on Fridays, I believe. And they're even got some flat track motorcycle racing in there. It's big.
Cool.
It's not as wide as some half miles, but you've got a track like an I-96 Speedway up in Lake Odessa, Michigan, which is just kind of northwest of Grand Rapids. Now that's a big, wide open track that they've kind of taken it from about a half mile down to a 3/8 mile, I believe. But it's still just as wide. But sometimes racers don't like those as much because they burn up the motors too quick, if they've got long features or whatever. But it's a lot of fun, but it's also, there's also something to be said for the shorter tracks too, the quarter miles where, things are a little bit more compact, a little bit more tight and such. So, it's grassroots racing in and of itself. Whether there's 6 cars on the track or 30 cars on the track, I think you just get a little bit different sense of it. You get the hornets, and that bee buzzing sound that is absolutely indescribable, other than saying it sounds like bees buzzing around the track. I mean, a lot of people say, hey, these support classes, they leave before. They leave after the feature's done and they miss the support classes. And I'll tell you, I've seen some of the best racing ever from the support classes. Because they're a lot closer.
Exactly. And one of my pet peeves, and I love Tri-County Speedway. It's a phenomenal racetrack. The Day family do a good job, and we just actually, from Mr. Chuck's anniversary with Miss Marilyn, they got him they got them a brand new John Deere motor grader, which is Cadillac to us rednecks, because this is cool that we got a new motor grader to work track with instead of an old one that's going to break down. And so very thankful for that. But one of the things that gripes my gears, it makes me so mad, is whenever the Stinger class, which is basically like your Hornet class, it's not the same thing. They call it Stingers here, or Stingers or tuner cars, whatever you want to call it. And the four-cylinder cars, sometimes your smaller classes like that, or the bomber cars here, we are basically go to a junkyard, knock everything out, put a roll cage in it, knock the windshield out, and go race. And some of your smaller classes like those usually put on the best racing, and it makes me so mad when the sprint cars or whatever series comes in, and as soon as the big series is over with, or the big class of the night is over with, everybody leaves, and it makes me so mad, because then at the end, the best racing of the night usually comes from your four-cylinders or your bombers or your smaller classes. And I've seen it time and time again. It's like, well, where you going? There's still more racing. If you're a true fan, you'll stay for the whole time,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on, Jared. It's been great chatting with you.
Yes.
I'll look forward to make sure you guys get the rest of your dates posted up at Get in the Stands, and just to you, all you guys, best wishes for great and safe racing all year long, and we'll do what we can to get that Gitz Bridge working for Tri-County.
And look, and I want to tell you this, I appreciate what you do, and I want to let you know that God loves you, Scott, and thanks for what you do.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for calling me.
I appreciate that.
All right,
no problem, Jared.
You
you have a great night, and like I said, best wishes for great and safe racing. And if I am down south, headed down towards Pensacola or headed down through southern Alabama, I will absolutely stop by.
Yes, please do. See you later.
All right, take care, Jared.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, there's the cheers there for Scott Kosak. He is the owner of GetMeStands.com. So next, I got my buddy Chase Montgomery going to call in. And then after Chase Montgomery, we got Kyle Jinks with Front Wheel Drive Fridays going to call in. Kyle Jinks was a last-minute call in. I'm glad he told me that he could call in the show. So, all right. So we got Chase Montgomery. He's got the Chasing Dirt podcast. And so, all right, Chase. So what's going on, buddy? How you doing? Hello? Hello? Hey, Chase. Hello? Hello? Is Chase out there? I just sent him a message. Alright, let me make sure. Yeah, because I don't know if Kyle Jinks had seen my message. I replied to him, so hopefully he saw my message about coming on the show. But I got Chase on the line, but he's not saying anything. He must be muted. Hey, Chase, you there? Hello, I guess. So yeah, Chase is unmuted. I don't know why, unless it's something wrong with Blog Talk Radio. I'm talking with him on Facebook Messenger here. All right, so So while we got waiting on Chase I think something's wrong on his end. So while we're waiting on Chase, I mentioned I'll be talking about Deep South Speedway, and I'm super excited to be at Deep South Speedway this weekend. Had been in a while, and then let me see, make sure. Okay, never mind. I thought that was a message. Hadn't been lately. They just so happened to race on top of us the last time we raced, so I wasn't able to go. And so most weekends we race when they don't race, but then there's going to be times where they race when we race, so can't always make it. And same way in Northwest Florida. But the good thing, Northwest Florida, we love Northwest Florida. They're racing this weekend too. So they race most every weekend that we don't race, which is awesome. And so got to give a shout out to Scott Sessions at Northwest Florida Speedway. They got a good weekend of racing. They just got the Iron Horse late models and the 602s racing this weekend. So if you got a 602 or Iron Horse late model, go to Northwest Florida Speedway in Baker, Florida this weekend. They're combining both classes of late models, and they're racing them. So I'm glad they got the 602s on schedule. Drivers have been wanting that for a while now, and so we appreciate Mr. Scott putting them on. And so I'll be at Deep South. Hopefully me and Mr. Ike's going tomorrow night. Deep South has the Hurricane Area Super Sprints. They're going to get #blown away by the sprint cars this weekend. And it's basically, if you don't know what the Hurricane Area Super Sprints is, just look them up on Facebook. They run the ASCS sprint car rules. Basically, when you watch the ASCS and the USCS Outlaw Wing sprint cars race, that's pretty much what these guys are. But they run the American Sprint Car Series rules. So they run their rules, and they're local to the Louisiana area, the southern region. So they travel all over. They're kind of a traveling, so they travel all over. So they'll be at Deep South Speedway this weekend. You'll probably see like Blake Carrier, Shane Morgan. Like Shane Morgan, I can remember when Deep South Speedway was 4/10th mile. I remember Shane Morgan was clocked going around Deep South Speedway. I think he was clocked going, it was like around 115 to 120 when Deep South was 4/10th mile. So everybody knows who Shane Morgan is. He's multiple-time winner, champion. So I hope to see him show up. I'm sure you'll see a lot of other big names show up. And so let me go to their Facebook, and I guess Chase's plug. All right, so for whatever reason, Chase is I've got Chase unmuted, but he's not saying anything. So I guess something must be wrong with his phone. So we got Kyle Jenks called in with Front Wheel Drive Fridays. So we're going to get Kyle Jenks on here in just 1 second. And so, all right, so let me go to Deep South Speedway's Facebook. So y'all be sure and go like Tri-County Speedway on Facebook. Be sure and go like gettinthestands.com on Facebook. Check out the website, gettinthestands.com. Also follow Deep South Speedway on Facebook. Let Mr. Billy Robertson and Ron Carpenter know what you think of the track. They do a phenomenal job. My friend Mitch Gutierrez, the announcer there. And shout out to Mr. Jeff Clark, the race director. Man, I love Deep South Speedway, man. That's like, I love going there when we're not racing. So, okay, this is cool. It says halfway through the week. It's almost race day, plus it's a doubleheader this weekend. So we have 2 reasons to be excited for this weekend. Come check out the Hurricane Area Super Sprints. All right, so let me scroll down. Let's see. This is 2 days ago. This weekend is a doubleheader race out at Deep South Speedway. The Hurricane Area Super Sprints are going to be racing both Friday and Saturday night. Please like and follow Deep South Speedway's Facebook for all the latest information for this weekend's event. What better way to kick off Memorial Day weekend than watching some racing? So if you need to know the address, you can Google search it, put it in your Google Maps, or it's 32971 State Highway 59, Loxley, Alabama, 36551. So May the 24th, they have the ASCS Hurricane Air Super Sprints, pure stocks, IMCA modifieds, and stingers. So IMCA is sanctioning Deep South Speedway for 5 races this year. So they've already had one. This will be the second one. All you IMCA drivers, you need to be there Friday night. If you want Deep South Speedway to stay sanctioned and IMCA to sanction them more, then you want to be there Friday night. There's no other tracks racing Friday night in this area that's run IMCA. So I encourage, there should be 15, 20 cars there, easy. Because when you see IMCA show up at Northwest Florida and Southern Raceway, they show up in droves, man. And then when they race at Tri-County, we got a good car count there too. So I encourage y'all to show up this weekend, this Friday, race your IMCA mods, because they're only sanctioned on five races this year, because they've already sanctioned Southern Raceway full time and they've sanctioned Northwest Florida Speedway full time. So there's not enough cars in the area to justify doing another track full time. So they don't want to step on any of these other tracks' toes. So I see why they just did the 5 races only, which that's a big deal for them to do the 5 races. And then the cool thing about IMCA, if you're a member of IMCA, you get, of course, the $50,000 life insurance policy. You get all the extra perks for being a member of IMCA. There's so many things, like the Facebook IMCA TV, which is their pay-per-view service, and then look up IMCA Racing on Facebook. You can like the page, you go to the website, read more into the membership stuff, but you get national points. You get invited to national races like the Big Boone, Iowa super race they do for the mods. You get invited to races like that. You know, it's a pretty big deal. And then May the 25th, they have the ASCS Hurricane Area Super Sprints, plus the Crate Racing USA 604 late models, factory stocks, Crate Racing USA street stocks, and then we have the open wheel modifieds. Pit pass is $40, ATV and car pass $15, grandstand adults $20, grandstand senior 55 plus $15, grandstand military $15, grandstand admission kids 8 to 12 $10, and kids 7 and under is free. And you do not want to miss this weekend. The sprint cars will put on a show, and I'm excited to see the Hurricane Air Super Sprints. I may have seen them for one race. Usually I see the USCS, and I've only seen the ASCS race one time. So this is pretty cool. So that's where I'll be this weekend. So for whatever reason, Chase Montgomery's not got his phone working or something. So I'm just going to go ahead and mute him, and we're going to bring Kyle Jinks for Front Wheel Drive Fridays on. So let's give a cheer.
Well, then, same one.
So Kyle, how you doing, Kyle?
What's up, boss man? How you doing?
Man, I'm so glad to have you on, because you're just like, I love, like, so for everybody that don't know who Kyle Jinks is, you can look up Front Wheel Drive Fridays. You can look him up on TikTok, Joker Style Kyle. Look up Kyle Jinks on Facebook, and then also Kyle runs a.
Oh, there's a number of them. Joker Style Kyle, Instagram, Front Wheel Drive Friday on YouTube as well. It's everywhere.
Well, that's great. And so he runs a fuel arrestor. So if you're interested in getting a fuel arrestor, use his promo code Joker Style Kyle on our website at RaceSaferFuelArrestorLLC.com, and
which I very much appreciate that as well. And I actually got a really good story for it already.
Okay.
We were racing our first big national race a few weeks ago at Lakeview Motor Speedway with the SCDRA 5000 to win. It's a national, big old national event that we travel with. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to SCDRA on Facebook and follow along, because it's a really neat class. But as I was racing, I guess I had the tank full of fuel, the return system going to it, but the vent line was loose and it wasn't up high enough, so it was sloshing. Well, apparently during the race it was sloshing enough to where it sucked up enough fuel to where it just slightly started dripping at the end of the race when I got done. Now, being if this was an issue where a lot of people have exhaust that come out from underneath the car, it could have caught the car on fire. Luckily, mine has a specific side exit where it doesn't. It emits the gases and everything outside the car and away from us. But because of the fuel arrestor, it actually sucked up the fuel and it stopped it from being all over the place or dripping all over the people behind me or any of that stuff. So it became not only just a safety for myself, but the people that was racing behind me, because I didn't know. I really didn't know, that it was actually leaking. I could start to smell stuff through towards the end of the race, but it wasn't, I'm racing, so I couldn't really, you know what I mean? It was something I couldn't smell. It's behind me. When I got out of the race and we slowed down, I smelled it immediately, and I was like, this ain't good. So I shut it off, and I started inspecting what will happen, and you could see the fuel arrestor was seeping fuel out of it. So it not only in the time of an accident or an issue where a puncture or things of that nature where something happens to your fuel cell, this was just a malfunction of equipment, and because of that, I was able to stay safe during the race. People behind me were safe during the race. And it was just, a big positive event, really, out of could be one of the worst situations in racing, obviously.
Wow. So it basically it did its job, what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, it did above and beyond. I was able to inspect and find the issue. It kept me safe again. Safety is key with myself. I was one of the people that started the Check Your Safety movement. I've been pushing that pretty good, especially at all these tracks. With the front-wheel drive class, we're not so much as like the Bombers or the Stingers or what you guys have anymore. We've pushed it to a whole new level where these cars are as top-notch as any street stock, modified, super model. I mean, we're all built the same. We could definitely contest the amount of time it takes to build the cars on a national level.
Wow, that is awesome. And I'm glad you shared that with me because, of course, I got the video of your two lives put together on our Facebook. I love the way you explained it on the fuel arrestor. Like, it gives you time to get out of the race car. It gives you time to get unbuckled because so many videos that I've shared on our Facebook, it takes forever to get them seatbelts unbuckled. And if you're on fire, well, it's too late then, bro.
Yeah. It's definitely something to people if you've never been in an issue where you've had to deal with fire. I actually have had to deal with fire, and it's not good. And I've had two fires while racing. Both of them were engine failures. One scattered parts, fuel, and oil all over the place where the entire front stretch of Fayetteville Motor Speedway was hot. So, yeah, I've got a picture of my car completely engulfed in fire during a video where you could only see the front bumper. And there was about 30 feet of fire behind my car. This was before the fuel arrestor days. And honestly, something like that I still couldn't prevent. Fuel arrestor wouldn't really help me in that. When you have catastrophic failures and explosions underneath the hood of any race car, there's just fluids and stuff going everywhere in extremely hot temperatures, and you can't help that. But if you take the proper precautions, that fire won't spread and won't go to other systems like fuel systems and things of that nature with the fuel arrestor, which I wholeheartedly believe.
And, and another thing I tell people is, like, of course, we make the original fuel arrestor that goes around your fuel cell, and we make the fuel sleeving that we can make it as long as you want, go all the way to the front of the race car, whatever size fuel line. And we make one for your battery, and we make one for the fuel pump, too. So there's really no excuse somebody can't be protected from a fuel fire or a battery fire, whatever the case. But so many people, like nowadays, the number one excuse I get is, well, if they'd make it mandatory, I'd buy one. I said, why in the world should something that could save your life have to be mandatory before you'd buy it? You know how stupid that sounds?
Right. Yeah, it never should be.
That's the way people think.
There's a lot of tracks around here lately. Some of the smaller tracks like Rockford Speedway, that's in our area that does a lot of the younger classes. They're mandatoring most of the safety that you can think of. And I've been kind of trying to push this type of safety towards the kids, especially with their, they're not as keen to, all their quick reflexes, and a lot of them are still learning and things of that nature. So getting a kid out of the car kind of quick isn't always easy.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to a couple of these racetracks get talk with them that do the kids things and just kind of try to push a little more of that on them so they can kind of get ready for, being safe and getting into the bigger classes and taking something like the fuel arrestor with them. I've been a huge fan of it just ever since we started talking about it with you and your buddy there that invented it and everything. That was it's an awesome product. I push it a lot, and it just a lot of people I don't know why they just won't break down and pay for safety. I know it's one of those things, but I guess it's one of those things a lot of people don't do until it happens or it affects them. I've seen roll cages and people's cars that just are just not really that they're terribly built together, but they just didn't do the right stuff, the right welding, or, they just didn't have all the right experience, and they did their best, but it's just not good enough, and it might not save their life. And
That's right.
To get people to do that sometimes is kind of, it breaks their pride. It makes them angry. There's a lot of things when you start talking safety to somebody who thinks that you're, that they don't realize what could actually happen until you show them something like my wreck that I went through. Hey, look, do you think your car's going to make it through something like this? Because this can happen to you tomorrow, tonight. You never know when you go to the racetrack that you might not come home.
Exactly. And I tell Robbie all the time, I said, I hate to say this, and I hate to be this way, but it's going to take somebody local that we know to get burnt in a race car. Then they'll say, you know what, maybe they're not the idiots so I thought they were. Maybe their product is actually good, or roll cages, whatever the case it is, whatever safety product. I wish people took it more serious instead of joking about it. And, like for instance, I got a friend named William McDuffie who drives a IMCA modified, and he was telling me he bought a Zamp neck brace to protect his neck from snapping. He said, I spent $400 on a Zamp neck brace. He said, surely I can buy a fuel arrestor that will help prevent me from getting in a fuel fire for $400 the same price. And I see it all the time. These drivers, they buy this, they buy that, but then they won't step up and buy the other stuff they need. I'm like, really? You need to be safe.
Yeah, it's just something that, I don't know. It's hard getting people to realize that fire's a thing until it happens. I've been blessed with racing long enough to where I've seen all the bad things happen to people, and all it's done is push me to want to be a better individual, you know what I mean, as far as my safety is concerned. When I wrecked my race car that bad, my whole family was there, and I seen what it did to them. I can only imagine if I wouldn't have made it through that, if what would have happened, you know what I mean? That's a whole other ballgame what they would have had to deal with.
Yes,
so it's,
so I encourage everybody.
The wreck we went through is terrible, man. Oh, go check it out. It's all over my Facebook, YouTube, everywhere.
Go to Outside the Groove magazine. They wrote an article on it. Watch the in-car camera from the car that was like 3 rows back. So tell that story of what happened to you in the wreck.
Okay, so basically what happened during that wreck, we were actually it was a year prior from the race that we just did. It was our year anniversary. It was April 1st of last year. That wreck was basically, it's been 1 year. So I've had a recovery time from then, and it's been fun. I just recently got back into the racing only about 3 races ago. So it was a wreck that put me down for a long time. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably one of the rarest wrecks that people have seen well, I don't know about the front wheel drive, but I rolled more than most people roll ever. But what it was, we were there to, it was somewhere between 14, 18 rotations, and then it had another back roll when it come off the top end of the track. It rolled back one time, but we were there for basically a pre-race. There was a local race at the track, a race like 2 weeks before the big race, which we run, with a big series and whatnot. So we was going to get some track time, some seat time, just make sure our setup's right. Just trying to get some notes down. Like that's probably one of the hardest things is get your notes right. But then we go to racing. Something happened in qualifying with the lap times. The first lap registered, but it didn't. I don't know. Something happened where I qualified back in the 7th position, which I've never had a lap time where what it said that night, but I couldn't I don't know. I wasn't going to contest it, whatever. So I start in the back. The green flag goes. It just seemed like I think it was the first race of the season for the local racers. Plus, there was a good number of us people that race with the National League. So it was, it was a pretty decent crowd that night. It wasn't just a little, 12, 15 locals. It was probably upwards towards the 20 with some pretty heavy hitters and some people practicing for the big race.
Wow.
But so we go out. I start in 7th spot. Green flag drops. Nobody goes. I drop gears and start going, and I probably made it. I went into turn 1 in 3rd place.
Wow.
So I went from 7th to 3rd, and as I was coming out of 2, I was trying to overtake 2nd place, and he messed up coming out of 2. And when he did, he come down the track real bad. You can see it. I think I slow-moed it wherever that shot is, but he come down the track, and we just kind of pancaked each other together, and it slowed us down. And the gentleman to the right rear of us, I guess he seen a hole and went for it, but wasn't paying attention. There was a car right below him, and he collected the car below him, which drove him straight to my right rear quarter, and it turned me sideways. When it turned me sideways, immediately the car turned upside down. The car that was on his outside, it hit me. As soon as I went upside down, the car hit me, and it kind of stopped me from going off the track, but it hit me in the nose, and when it did, it just sent me into basically a spiral for 15 to 18 rolls.
Wow, that's nuts, man. Just to watch that video, man, it scared my mule.
It was a lot more, I don't know. I went through a lot more head trauma than what people would imagine. I spun so fast in the car. Zamp even looked out for us and gave us a new helmet on a pretty decent cost. It was an extremely expensive helmet and didn't charge me too much. But I had really good equipment in the car, but I still received pretty good head injury. I had a lot of swelling, a lot of bruising. I didn't actually have any bleeding or nothing like that, thank God, but my head swelled, my eyes were popping out. I busted all the blood vessels in my eyes. Both my eye sockets were black and blue. I mean, I looked like Mike Tyson was punching me in the face while I was in a jet fighter, is what the doctor said. Because there was so much blood that was forced to my head so fast. Plus, there was the collision, with the car while I was upside down. And then after there was it was multiple things that happened in the wreck that just created a lot of head trauma. My leg hit a bar. My left leg has pretty much a spot on it that'll never heal, where it killed some muscles and some cells around the lower shin bone, where it hit the bar. Luckily, it didn't break, but it did bruise the bone. So between most of the head injuries, some bruising on my left arm, things of that nature, where it started bouncing around on the steering wheel. I bent the steering wheel forward, that kind of stuff.
Well, I tell you what,
it was
that is a blessing.
It was a rough one.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing from God. You survived that, and I've always truly believed that everything happens for a reason. I believe you went through that so me and you could meet and do field safety, whatever. And then
I could become a safety advocate for my division of racers on a national level, where people in the lower divisions of our class would see what the things that could happen to us and what we do to prevent bad things from continuously happening, so we can be here the next day to go racing.
Because me and you and Robbie, I refer to myself as a safety Nazi. Nobody wants to talk with the safety Nazi because they push safety instead of speed. And I put you in that category because I love your hashtag check your safety. I use it all the time because to give you props. Everybody should hashtag check your safety. Listen to Kyle, man. This dude's been through it. He's been through some wrecks. He knows it. He's not stupid. He knows what he's talking about. And he builds a safe race car. Cause what was that cage you had in there, a money well wasted chassis? Wasn't that the name of it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it did its job.
It did so well that I was able to take that video at the end of the time and shared a lot of people what could be in a wreck and what can happen. And it was, man, I couldn't tell you how many messages I received behind the scenes of, hey, man, I can't believe what your cage did for you. I've changed, cage work in my car because of it. I added that bar, I added this bar. It says, the stuff that you have went through, and the cage man that built your car and things like that, he did a phenomenal job with the research. He had a lot of, basically, he's had a lot of trial and error over the years, and he's seen a lot of his cars go through a lot of bad things. So far, I have taken the cake and wrecked it worse than anybody else. So,
wow.
The time of all of his research and things of that nature, it really did his job, and it gave me a really good car. And I went with him on this next car. He gave me another basic cage again, like he did the last one, and but on top of that, I had a buddy of mine, Eddie McGrew, which is also one of the top in the nation, front-wheel drive guys. He's he builds his own cars, and when that happened, he reached out and said, hey, man, I want to help you build a car. We need you back at the track because of who you are. You are a person we need racing. And I have the opportunity and the abilities to help you, and I want you to come on.
Wow,
so that's
awesome.
What happened, and the next thing I know, he showed me way above and beyond safety and other things that to turn our cars into what I would consider a real race car now. I had cars that were, basically not really just knock the windows out, but our cars were just, cut them down best you could and then throw a cage in them. Now I have a full-blown race car. There's a shell, but it just looks like it.
Yeah, and that's smart because I'm as redneck can be. I'm all about some redneck rigging, but not in a race car. You want to do it right. You want to do it right the first time. You don't want to. I see race cars that I look at the racetrack, and if there was a DOT Nazi inspector walking around on safety, no, son, you can't race. That thing you don't need that on this racetrack. Because, I see some stuff that are sketchy. Welds that look like a 2-year-old went out there welded, blindfolded. That's not good. But I'm glad you put the best of the best. Y'all need to take Kyle's advice. Even if you got to save a little money, don't do dollar store quality on your race car.
No, don't. It's not worth it. I've seen some of the worst quality stuff on racing, and I hate to even tell people, like, look, man, this is very potentially to kill you. This is not going to hold up in a major wreck or a rollover. I need you to understand that safety matters, and you think, oh, I'm not going fast enough, or I'm not going to ever get in that situation. You absolutely never know when something can happen to you in your race car, and to be fully prepared prior to that is the smartest thing you could ever do. Going home at the end of the night is all what matters. Winning the race is cool and all, but when you don't go home that night, you can't win the next race.
Exactly.
I've definitely been pushing
how you
safety,
do your.
And that's my big thing, man.
Yeah, so y'all be sure and go like Front Wheel Drive Fridays on Facebook. So you go live every Friday and you interview drivers and you talk about safety and stuff. I love that.
I have been. It's been a little slack lately just because of the wreck. I hadn't had a lot of content. Plus, I was with the head injury. I spent probably the last year or so getting more of a mental reboot than what people would think. Speaking and talking after a head injury and stuff of that nature wasn't the same for a little while. So I've spent the last year recovering from that wreck and just really trying to be the biggest advocate of safety that I can to tell people, hey, look, I'm still here, and there was more safety that I could have done to my car than what I had, and not to say that it would have done any better, but now I know more, and the more safety that I can find and work with, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, and that's smart, because I wish people like for instance, one of the race directors I know at one of the racetracks told me, he said, man, I wish they'd make it mandatory that the drivers wear gloves. And he said, you'd be surprised how many racers that race here that don't wear gloves. And that's stupid. And the number one excuse I get, well, I can't pull my tires off.
I can't feel the steering wheel. I love that answer.
Look, there's ways you can do that. Like my buddy Daniel Sullivan, his dad, Tim, told me He said, look, you know how you saw that? I wear gloves. He's like, the way I pull my tear-offs, I set my tear-offs, twist them just enough to where I can grab one of my gloves and pull them off, and I have no problems. I don't know why everybody else can't do the same thing. I mean, and I guess they're going to have to get burnt in their hands, and then they come up and say, well, maybe you're not an idiot for telling me that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I try to share my fire picture as much as I can when people want to say anything about it, and I've been trying to tell people for years, like, y'all just don't understand how terrible fire is and how fast it can spread and while you're in a race car and you can't get out.
Yeah. That is crazy. And one of the videos that I found on YouTube is an asphalt racetrack called DeSoto Speedway. And it's an asphalt pure stock race from 2015. And this video's got thousands and thousands of views on it. It's my number one video that I show to people. And it's these asphalt pure stock cars, and two drivers get collected. They both wreck. And then a third car, I think it was Kyle Best was the guy's name, comes out of nowhere and has nowhere to go. Bam! Hits the car so hard in the rear end, his fuel cell exploded. Well, all three cars catch fire. And the announcer, he's just screaming for help. He's hollering. And the fire department crews rush up there real fast. Well, two of the drivers are taking forever to get out of the car because of seatbelts. Well, they get out. The car is still on fire. Well, the third guy in the very bottom car is trapped in his car. He finally gets out, and he is literally on fire, rolling down the racetrack. He runs down the racetrack, and he stop, drop, and rolls, and the fire department sprays him down. All three race cars burn to the ground. And when I show that to people, it's an eye-opener. I'm like, wow, that's pretty scary. But then, like most people, they don't think nothing else about it after that, and they go about their business. But it's pretty scary stuff.
Mhm. It is, man. Fire is probably one of the worst things you can deal with in a race car.
Well, I tell you what. So, I enjoy watching your lives. Y'all be sure and go follow him on TikTok, of course, Facebook, Instagram, all the sites he said. So, you got any sponsors you want to shout out?
Yeah, I got a pretty good sponsorship list. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but one of my biggest sponsors, I'm going to give out Kraken Skulls. They're a beard product company. I do love my beard. Obviously, I am a bearded racer. Probably one of the biggest bearded racers actually out there. So I have a beard company that has been taking care of me for many years, which is Kraken Skulls, and we very much appreciate them. It's a veteran-owned company and does a lot of community work, a lot of charity work. We actually just recently donated brand new mattresses to our local police department and all their employees that had filled out a need for something like that couldn't afford a nice mattress. So my company helped facilitate the deal and transport all that kind of stuff with another organization that was, finding the purchases and whatever. But we were donating a bunch of stuff to our local police department. We do a lot of charities with children through them. It's an extremely amazing company. We do everything you can think of man care, especially if you happen to be in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They got a barber shop, a tattoo shop. You can get a hat made, embroidered. You can get T-shirts made. They got a bar in there. You can get a whiskey while you're sitting ready to get your hair cut or your beard trimmed. It's basically a one-stop shop, anything man care. It's pretty neat.
That's cool. That's cool.
There's
That's
them. Cool. Ballas Woodworks, which is a good buddy of mine, Kurt Ballas' company that he started in the garage of his backyard. And has flourished into an amazing woodworking company that has a really large list of exotic wood that you can find. That it's hard to find, old wood that's not even, around anymore, that buildings were made with hundreds of years ago, that they'll take down and harvest the wood and try to turn into whatever it is that somebody wants. They build all kinds of just tables and mantles and just anything that you can do with wood. This gentleman does some amazing stuff with it. He builds cigar cases and just there's all kinds of little neat things that this company. It's my favorite part about it is their slogan is everyone loves our wood. So
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's a huge. It's a huge. If you look at the company, it's another veteran-based company. They're huge in the veteran community. They help out a lot of things. Veteran based. They do some basically like they'll host events where people can come in, they can sign up, and they'll show you how to do. They make, I think one of the things that they make a lot is like cutting boards. But these are really nice cutting boards with different kinds of grains of wood and colors. And so they show people how to make this stuff and how to work with their hands. And they'll get families out there, either husbands and wives or, their dad and their son, or just, a bunch of people will come up. But it's a lot of veteran-based stuff, again. And it's just ways to get, some of these families back doing hands-on things. So we have a few companies like that that I want to definitely give a shout out to. But definitely go on my Facebook, Kyle Jenks. Yeah, there's a lot of veteran stuff. My father did, my stepdad, but my father, I'll tell him my dad any day of the week. Anyways, my dad did 23 years in the military. I didn't want to join. It wasn't my thing. So I grew up in the military. Most of the people I know are military. So I do a lot with the military. I have a lot of fallen soldiers that are dedicated on my car. I think there's 80
that is
plus,
awesome.
Almost 90
Salute
something.
To your dad.
Yeah, all that. So there's a lot of veteran-based companies that come on and do their thing. I got one of my guys that has been thick and thin with me trying to keep my car on the track, minus all the other cool veteran stuff. There's a gentleman that he's been there thick and thin, kind of helping me go keep the car up to par and learn a lot of what I have as far as a platform. Morrison, his name is Christian Morrison. He owns Morrison Built Performance. He does like live tuning and a lot of dyno work and some builds. He used to build a lot of drag cars. He's been doing a lot of dirt work for some people nowadays. But one of the most hands-on Honda people I've ever met, dedicated to his customers and things of that nature. He's been an extremely good part of my racing for a long time. There's a long list of people. I could honestly sit here and probably talk for the next hour of sponsors. And we picked our first international sponsor up, which was Evil Energy. They do fuel lines, fuel fittings, all AN stuff. They are a Chinese-based company, so we did pick up there. And they were gracious enough to help me with safety and buy me a brand new fire suit.
Wow, that is awesome.
Which I have a fire suit being made as we speak. Should be here in the next 4 weeks, hopefully. And appreciate them. That's another part of my safety that I've been working on. My fire suit was kind of getting old, and it was time to update to a new one. So luckily this company came on board. They're a fuel company. They do a lot of fuel line company, Evil Energy, there's a lot of companies out there that my name, Joker Style or Joker Style Kyle or Joker Kyle, there's promo codes that you can use and get a lot of these companies to get you some stuff on discount. So that's another way that I'm helping the safety thing kind of push, is where now we can start saving some people some money. Again, with Fuel Safer Racer, you can use my name, Joker Style Kyle, and get you a discount. So if you're listening right now and you're thinking about getting one, now's the time to use my name. Go ahead and get you one. So that's right. Kind of another way that we push our safety, is we use a lot of these companies' promo codes, and that all of this really helps me travel and really just create the world of racing that I'm trying to do, not just be a racer at the track. I am more than that. I'm trying to be a safety advocate, just a promoter for our class, a promoter for all the companies that do their thing online that help us, be recognized, which was pretty neat to listen to earlier. With that, what was that company that he was with, the .com that's doing the promotion for the track?
Oh, yes. Gettingthestands.com.
Gettingthestands.com. So that is something I did not know about, and I'm going to push. I obviously know a few tracks. I'm sponsored by Rockfish Speedway and Lakeview Motor Speedway. These are two racing facilities that have been gracious enough to help me out and put their name on my race car. So I'm actually sponsored by two racetracks, which is pretty neat. These people are well, I just was at Darlington for the throwback race for the entire weekend. I was the only dirt car there. And I got to display my car out and promote my local racetracks in the area at Darlington for the entire NASCAR weekend. So there was 141,000 potential people. It's definitely neat, man. When you're talking to people about something that they have no clue, they're there seeing some NASCAR, and they're looking at an Acura Integra with basically a cage in it, and they're like, what the hell is this, So we've had a lot of we've had a lot of really cool experiences that I've gotten to do with all of the promoting, and definitely going through the paces of trying to learn the new platforms, like you were saying, and like that gentleman was talking about. Of there's a lot of younger generation that uses these platforms to learn, to find places to go and do stuff without, word of mouth being a thing like it used to. Word of mouth not as good as it used to because people really don't talk to each other. The younger generation has a problem with communicating unless they're talking through text messages or their phone on their snappy chats or whatever all that stuff is. I'm not a big fan of all that kind of stuff. I like talking to the camera because that's me interacting with people. I don't get a lot of feedback. Right. I do from time to time on TikTok. We do get some people that jump on and want to interact, which is really cool. I wasn't really a fan of TikTok because of obviously all the legal things that have been going on with it here lately. So I still post on there as much, but I don't usually go live as much on the TikTok. But I here soon. We're going to get back to, now that we're racing again and I'm starting to get some content, I'm going to get back to the Front Wheel Drive Friday thing and at least doing some live at the track behind the scene things. And if I do have good internet, we will be doing some interviews with some people and just kind of bringing the limelight of our class while we travel with the SCDRA pretty much all over the East Coast, up and down, north and south, and some out west as well.
That's awesome. So when is your next race?
We are racing the 7th and 8th of next month at Sumter Speedway, just south of Darlington, raceway there in South Carolina. They're putting up another $5,000 to win for us on the series, which it's only our second race of the year because we've had a lot of rainouts this year. The rain has definitely won a lot of races. Yeah, and it's terrible. In our area, it is what it is with May. It is a lot of rain. So we get rained out a lot, but hopefully that won't happen because the one I was kind of looking forward is the I-75 Speedway. You were talking about earlier how you like the big tracks. Well, that is what used to be one of the largest half-mile dirt tracks in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, or fastest dirt tracks in Tennessee. They had a catch bench that probably spent tens of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to make in the original track. But it was what that other gentleman was saying. It was a motor killer, and for weekly races, it just wasn't financially good. So the track only functioned, I think, for 2 or 3 years at its size, and then somebody took it over, shut the track down on that size, brought the track into the middle, and opened it up to where now they have, I think it's a 3/8 mile track in the center of it.
Wow.
It's a neat facility. They got walking stands with a little tunnel and stuff like that. It was made to be one of the super speedways of dirt. It was too fast for the cars to keep going without blowing motors and stuff.
And see, the biggest thing with that is a lot of drivers don't know. You just change your gears and you don't blow a motor. If you change your gears, you're good.
Yeah, but when you're hurt, most of them guys, they're hunting the box. They want to find the box. The problem is the box is 100 and some miles an hour nowadays at a track and a facility like that, and they just I don't know. It just seems like over the years the tracks have been getting smaller. And everybody wants a smaller racetrack.
Yeah, that's weird, ain't it?
Well, it does allow better racing. It does put more close racing. It definitely brings in lap traffic faster. I'm a huge fan of Rockfish Speedway. I finally got to promote my first race with Rockfish Speedway. I got to promote a front-wheel drive race, which this is a micro sprint track. They run go-karts, junior sprints, 270 sprint cars, the 600 wing sprints, mod lights, legend cars, the smaller micro cars. It's a 5th-mile track, and we put full-size front-wheel drives on it.
Woo-hoo. Wow.
It got a little dicey. I mean, it was about 2 laps in and you were catching the back of the back. So, but it put on a spectacle, put on a show. It filled the stands full of people, had a large number of people watching what we were doing. And again, short track racing in that nature was definitely a ball. I was blessed with winning the race. I did end up pulling off a win there. So that I promoted the race and actually won the race. So, yeah, that was awesome. An experience. We were in the magazine centerfold of 2020,
that's cool.
I believe.
That's big time.
We were the time. PRI show, front wheel drive discussion. Todd, he was at the PRI show, walked up to the Speedway Motors booth, and was like, "Hey, Kyle, I see you're on my live. Check this out," and showed me a centerfold of me being the first winner ever at this track and things of that nature, and they did a whole little skit on it. It was actually pretty neat. I plan on, as soon as I get some time, I'm gonna get in contact with Speedway Motors. They make a like a placard of the article and a little thing that they can send you, something you can put on the wall, and a copy of the obviously the magazine.
Wow, that is cool. So, one real quick thing before I let you go and get my next guest.
Sure.
So I forgot to mention this to you. So do you know who Brian Littleton is?
Sounds familiar, but not offhand.
Okay, so Brian Littleton, he was on my show a few weeks ago. He is the owner of the Race Logic Chassis School. And Have you ever heard of the Race Logic Chassis School?
Nope, haven't heard of that.
Okay, so anyways, so Race Logic Chassis School, what it is, he's been putting on classes for 30 years. And what the Race Logic Chassis School is, each school is a little different. They'll have them in different areas, whatever. And they'll have instructors come in, and whether it's somebody that builds race cars or somebody that works at Longhorn or whoever, and they'll come in and they'll talk about how it's shop set up. And drivers will pay however much it is for the class, and they'll spend the weekend or spend the day at this school, and they'll teach them how to do shop
and whatnot.
Want to be late models, now Brian has been doing this 30 years, like I said. Well, now he's going to do one for safety only. And so he is putting this together. He's getting the who's who of racing. He's already got Longhorn chassis signed up. He's got Velocity USA. Me and Robbie is going to be up there. We're going to teach a class on fuel safety. And we would love to have you come with us. And where it's going to be at this year, it's going to be in NASCAR's backyard. I think it's Mooresville, or I forgot the name of it. But anyways, it's going to be pretty much in NASCAR's backyard. And it's going to be January the 6th, the week of the 6th, I think. It's going to be on Thursday. And so what they're going to do is it's going to be all day long of teaching classes. And he's like, any of these manufacturers that's going to be there is not allowed to sell their product. He said if your product's good enough, then it'll sell itself. And then that weekend they got the Cars Trade Show, which is a lady named Kate Dillon who runs the Cars Trade Show. And I've never been to that. But Robbie used to race in that area, and so he knows all about that area. And so most of these manufacturers will be there for the Cars Trade Show. And we would love to have you there and have your car on display to show what the fuel arrestor does.
For sure. Might have to flip it over just so they can see it. No, it's we might have to maybe put it up on jacks or something. I'll bring some pretty large jacks, because if I jack up the back end of it, you can kind of just lean down and see where it is, and it's kind of on display up underneath the car. I have the way that the car was designed. It's pretty neat. That's why I tried to make all those videos prior to finishing the car, because I knew once I was going to deck it and all that kind of stuff, it was gonna disappear.
It's going to be hidden.
But I definitely, I try to push it as much as you could possibly imagine when it comes to the fuel cell arrestor. And sure, if you just let me know about. That's funny because that's my birthday week. Because my birthday's January 9th, so it'll be a good time.
Really?
Just let me know about it, and I'll try to make accommodations so I can bring the truck. That way I don't got to get no hotel or nothing like that. I have a rig that I can. We actually sleep and live in. It has got a few beds and things of that nature. So we travel, like I said, with the national series, and we have our series has pushed it. If I'm not mistaken, we are the third highest paid dirt division in the nation. There's the World of Outlet, the sprint cars, and then the late models, and then our total purse is the third largest in the nation right now.
Wow. That is awesome. So I'll send you all the information. I went ahead and signed man Robbie up to teach a class, because he does welding, does industrial maintenance business. So he's going to teach on welding and fuel safety. I told him, I said, man, I'd love to get Kyle down there because Kyle's been promoting the fuel arrestor like crazy. He's one of our number one advocates.
Yeah.
I'd love to get him down there.
I post it as much as I ever lovingly can. Every weekend that we go racing, I mean, I definitely tag and post, and it's
great.
It's crazy trying to get these names to go out to the public and the general public, to just kind of keep pushing these safety programs, and it's definitely it's an everyday project.
And I tell you what, with you being a safety guy, we make you get it to where you could get in there and, teach class also. So the way Brian's doing it is, so Longhorn Chassis, Velocity USA, there's a bunch of big names he's got on this list. And it's going to be all day that Thursday. And he said if you come a little early, you can tour the NASCAR shops. And say Wednesday, and then Thursday is all day classes, all day long. And then he's like, you'll be able to promote.
And you said it's going to be in Mooresville, North Carolina?
It's not Mooresville. I don't think it's Mooresville. He called it. It's wherever they do the Cars Trade Show at. Is where it's going to be at.
It might be Charlotte.
Yeah, it may be Charlotte. I wish I could remember. I'll have to look.
Because I know Charlotte's pretty much the home of NASCAR right now. Definitely. Yeah. That's not terrible because that's only about 3 hours for me. So that's something I can put in the schedule. We don't have any racing whatsoever in January, thankfully. We race all the way up to the end of November, and we start back February. Usually the first weekend in February is the largest sport compact race in the nation. This year it is for $21,000.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, so that is something people need to come check us out. It's in Georgia at the Winter Freeze. It's in Screven, Georgia. It's one of the greatest.
Ooh.
It's one of the best
dirt
facilities that I have ever been to. Oh, man, $21,000. You can't beat that. 117 cars came out last year. The way they do the races, there's a lot of heat races. They only lock in so many. Then there's a lot of heat racing, so there's 2 days of racing going on. For us, it's 3 days. Obviously, we get a day of practice on Thursday, so it becomes a 3-day event, which is pretty cool for us as far as races. You get really some good seat time going down Thursday, Friday. They do all the first rounds of qualifying. And once all the first rounds of practice and qualifying are out Friday, they lock you in for Saturday heat races. And, I mean, they got you all the last chance qualifiers, and then they do a last chance qualifiers race for all the people that don't get in. They put, I think, another 20 or 30 of them in the race, and they let them go. I think one year they raced cars at one time at Screven Motor Speedway.
Wow.
I started 44th in that race. It was a 100-lap race. For $19,000 to win, I pulled the track points provisional because I had some mechanical failure with some suspension parts in qualifying. I pulled a provisional because I raced with them all year, and I was pretty high up in points. So I had to start. It was almost last. It was 44th out of 48 or 46, and I finished that race, and I think in 11th spot. But it was 2.5 hours of racing. So if you want to come and see a race, that's the race that you want to come watch. And let alone the gentleman that owns the facility, Red, he puts one of the best facilities out there for us to race on. There's some down south, good old Georgia cooking like you would not believe. It's one of the best food track situations that I've ever been of. That they make some of the greatest. I mean, there's fried pork chops. You name it, they're cooking it. I swear there's a bunch of old Georgia grandmas in the back room there just cooking up all. I mean, there's potatoes. They got a food bar with window. You can walk up and just get you a plate made of all kind of hot bar here. And I mean, it's not what you normally go to. I think it's a restaurant for me. I probably spend more money on the food there. No, I'm telling you, it's bad. My wife eats so many fried pork chops. I spend more money on fried pork chops than I do the racing weekend. I swear. But it's awesome. Definitely that's one you need to go to is the Winter Freeze. Really, any race that's a part of the SCDRA, it's a race you won't want to miss. I mean, they stick 30 of us out there, 20-something of us, depending on the size of the track or whatever. And we're racing for $5,000 to win. And the last track, Lakeview Motor Speedway, that's a small 4/10, big 3/8 mile course, and we were running, I think the top 5 were right there in the 19-second laps.
Wow.
On
well,
dirt
look, I tell you
in
what,
a front-wheel drive 4-cylinder.
That is flying. And I tell you what, I appreciate you calling in. We're getting towards the end here. Anybody else you want to shout out before we?
No, man, I think I'm good to go. Just definitely go check us out on Facebook, Kyle Jenks, and then obviously the Front Wheel Drive Friday, and then you can do Kyle Jenks or Joker Style Kyle at all the other platforms, and you'll find me anywhere. I'm pretty popular on all that stuff. I stay pretty busy.
Well, that's cool. Well, look, I appreciate you calling in, man. It's been great having you on.
Yes,
God
sir.
knows you, Kyle. Thank you.
I appreciate it, bud. You have a good one.
All right, see ya. All right, so that was Kyle Jenks for Front Wheel Drive Fridays. Is Chase on? Hello? Chase.
Hello.
Hello. Oh,
Hello.
Well, now I finally got you. It didn't work earlier for whatever reason. I kept calling and calling. I was like, well, he ain't saying nothing. You there?
All right. I'm going to start on the areas in the racing this week before I start my racing stuff. So tomorrow night, hopefully, I'm planning on going as long as the weather lets me. I'm going to Atwood Clay Hill Motorsports Park for the USCS sprint cars.
Oh, awesome.
Saturday I don't plan on going, but Camden's running. I think Clark's. I put my whole schedule on Facebook.
Okay, cool. Man, that's going to be some awesome racing. That's going to be a lot of fun with the USCS sprint cars.
Yep.
So I've been seeing on Facebook that you've been getting into iRacing. So tell us about that. Tell us how good you've been doing with that.
Well, was it? I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday. I got to class. Well, what day was that? Yesterday or whatever day it was. I'm banned from iRacing for a week.
Oh, geez, that's not good.
No, I'm not going to go into details.
Okay, that's good.
But other than that, I've been doing pretty good.
Well, that's great because, I know several people that iRace, and iRacing is addictive, man. It's so realistic. Like my buddy Jamie Mazingo, he was on the call last year when you called, and he does it, and he loves it. It's so realistic too, man.
It's like it makes you want to get on it every day because the official race, it wants to make you move up, work for it.
Yeah, it makes you earn it, just like the real deal,
Mhm.
So what all do you race on there? What kind of classes and?
I run mainly asphalt right now. I have not got used to the dirt cars. Well, every time I do, if I don't get on it for a while, I forget how to drive them. But
oh yeah,
I'm good
it
on my
gets
asphalt
rusty.
cars. Yep.
Man, that's awesome.
I can drive a car. But last week
so have you won?
About. What'd you say?
You said last week you about what now?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask, have I won yet? No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working for.
Okay.
I'm working to get my first win. So, I about went to Pine Ridge. I've been there one time, the opener. It was pretty good. Then I was going to go to, it was Lexington was supposed to run last Friday, and they didn't because of rain. Saturday, Clay Hill was supposed to run, they didn't. So I stayed home and watched a lot of racing. I checked out 2 tracks last week. Crystal is in Michigan, Tri-County Speedway, and I checked out Circle City last Friday. Those both are pay-per-view races.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I enjoyed both of them.
Well, so those are both
good.
dirt tracks.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. So who's your current favorite driver in dirt racing?
And I have a lot of favorites, but I have my two in late models, Bobby Pierce and Devin Moran.
Oh, good choices. Devin Moran, Bobby Pierce is real. I love when Bobby Pierce races the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine car. He's had different color variations, but the original one that was the green with the Mystery Machine colors, I love that. It's had Scooby-Doo on the side.
I had reason Devin Moran because I went to the Dome, and he was on his phone for a second. He took time to talk to me for a second. I'm trying to get him on my podcast too.
Oh, cool. Okay. See, I like it when these drivers are friendly and they meet their fans. The ones that are snooty and don't want to take the time to meet the fans, that's the ones I don't care for.
Me too. And me and this driver, Devin, we message each other on Facebook sometimes. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Wow, that's awesome.
Bobby will soon.
Wow, that's cool.
Yep.
So, what is your favorite racetrack? Whether it's one you've been to or one you haven't been to?
After last year, best, feel like to me, you ain't seen a race till you went to the Dome. I'm like, the racing's good. There's a lot of some good racing up there.
Man, that is awesome.
I'd say the Dome.
That is the race of races, what people say. Well, so I let time slip up on me, and my on air time's about to run out. So I'll tell you what we'll do. So next Thursday, I'm gonna get you back on the show, and we'll get you talk on a little bit longer because I let it slip. My time's about to run out.
Okay.
But I'm glad you got to call in, and I enjoyed talking with you. And but yeah, I got just a few minutes left, so I'm gonna go. Is there anybody you want to thank or shout out before I get you?
My buddy Billy Milner for always giving me tips on my racing and try to keep my cool sometimes whenever I'm able to. And Harold Maddox and Joshua Whitmire.
Awesome. And, of course, your girlfriend.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to leave her out. Oh, you're going to be put in the doghouse now. Well, look, I appreciate you calling in, and we'll get you next Thursday. And thank you, buddy.
All right.
Later. All right, so that was Chase Montgomery. I let time slip, didn't get him. So we're going to end the show. We got 5 minutes left. We're going to end the show with A$AP Preacher's song, Heaven Bound. Look up the music video online. A$AP stands for Always Say a Prayer. He's a Christian rap artist I listen to. And I sent the email. I sent out an email to his team, to his manager, to let him know I was using his song for the show. So I hadn't really heard back, but it's a really good song, really good message. He wrote it for his mom and granddad that passed away. But listen real close to the words, and we'll see y'all later. God loves you. Find you a good church home to go to Sunday.
Let it out. Don't hold it in this better route. Darkness looking like bad weather clouds. It can stop me cause I'm heaven bound. I feel better now. On the highway, Lord, I'm heaven bound. You stay with me in whichever route. They can block me, but I'm never out. All of me, all for you. With everything you made me right, that's something to die for. On the highway, doing heaven bound. On the highway, doing heaven bound. The world would call me crazy, but that's just how he made me. Been through all kind of stuff, and been to different places. You get my heart fell low, and all my tips went from it. This world is trying to tell the truth, it got some problems on it. I just need some time, I just need some time. Help me work my problems out and reach the finish line. The world is trying to tell them I'ma go to hell, it's lies. I was held alive in a jail when the cell inside. Then they saved my life, yeah, better now. On the highway, Lord, I'm heaven bound. You stay with me in whichever route. They can block me, but I'm never out. All of me, all for you. With everything you made me right, that's something to die for. On the highway, doing heaven bound. On the highway, doing heaven bound. You got my life laced up in the music with the bass on. All my life living for the world I had to pay off. I was down but not out, I was so faded. I did not count me out, you sat there so patient. At my door, it was so close. So many problems up with my mom, didn't think I would see her go. It hurts to see her grow, but it bursts in me new growth. I can never die, believe without my soul I'm not alone. I feel better now. On the highway, Lord, I'm heaven bound. You stay with me in whichever route. They can block me, but I'm never out. All of me, all for you. With everything you made me right, there's something to die for. On the highway, doing heaven now. On the highway, doing heaven now. Let it out. Better out. Darkness looking like bad weather clouds. It can't stop me cause I'm heaven bound.